dear friends. It has been a while since I've done a solo video. But I thought this would be the best way to handle the material that I want to share with you. And guess what? This is the very first solo Artistic Mystic Megan video on our new website, Lizzie Dewey's, and my new website, A Cauldron of Crones. So this is quite the event, right? In our devoted container, this is the year-long container with Haley Curtis that Lizzie and I are both part of. We are doing the Golden Path. And the Golden Path goes through the activation sequence, the gene keys activation sequence, and then it does the Venus sequence, that's part of the Golden Path, and then there's the Pearl sequence. We have just now completed the Venus sequence with this last month being in the core wound. Now, as part of our own personal growth, Lizzie and I both did our own expression of what it was like for us to have our core wound be at the center of each of the gene keys in our chart up to the core wound. So I did an audio and of all the shadows, how that core wound shadow of mine, which is dishonor, was at the core of each of my shadows in the activation sequence and in the Venus sequence. And then I did another audio on what it was like to have the gift of graciousness be in each of those spheres. And Lizzie, in her beautiful prose, has written an article for each of those. And we put them together. So we consider them collaborative articles. And you will find them in our website, and I'll give you the links here after the video. And as we're closing up, so we are going to be going to a retreat in just 2 days. Mine is on Saturday, and today I'm talking on a Thursday. We wanted to complete this core wound with almost like a grand finale. We personally, in our own inner growth, want to touch on something we didn't touch on in either of those articles, and that is the line. And the line in our core wound is very important because it is the these are the 6 core wounds of humanity. The 6 core wounds of humanity are line 1, repression, line 2, denial, line 3, shame, line 4, rejection, line 5 is mine, and that's guilt, and line 6 is Lizzie's, and that's separation. We wanted to take our own lines and see how they relate to the rest of our chart, just like we did our gene keys. I wanted to take somewhat of an playful approach because, you know, there could be a lot of repetition involved by doing this. You know, we've already written an article and, you know, I've already done audios on how, you know, that graciousness or that shadow of dishonor has affected all of my other gene keys, which kind of brings in a little bit of a flavor of my line 5. However, what I thought I would do, which I didn't touch on in either of those audios, is how does my line 5 relate to the other lines in my chart? And let me tell you right now that this kind of expression to you is my own personal growth. By me talking about this is how I process it. This is how I bring it home into my body, how I ground it. And that is a lot because I'm a line 5 here in this gene key. The core wound gene key of line 5 is a lot about using your voice. And the keyword for it is responsibility. And, you know, having responsibility through your voice. So it just makes sense that I do a lot of processing using my voice. So anyway, I'm going to do that now. And if any of you get any kind of benefit from what I'm saying, that's just the beautiful magic of synergy and the beautiful magic of synarchy and the beautiful magic of just being part of a whole where I am doing what I need to do for me, which then just spills out and affects everybody that I know, right? So line 5 itself, that's my line here in the core wound. And what both Richard and Haley say is that what is in within our core wound is within the core of each of our spheres within our whole chart. So it's almost, and Lizzie and I both used the analogy of deep roots. So it's these deep tendril roots that are coming up through our gene key and affecting each one of our other gene keys. And then that's the shadow, but then the gift helps all the other gene keys blossom. So those are the two visuals that we had when we did our articles. Now with this, it's almost like I want to bring in the idea of a playground where we're all children, and or where we're all friends. We don't have to be children, but we're all friends. And I'm going to take the shadow of line 5. I believe I'm going to take the shadow of line 5 and go to each one of my lines and see how the gift of each of those lines might help this shadow of a line 5 and this core wound of guilt to forgive itself, because that's the antidote to guilt, is forgiveness. So as part of a line 5, line 5, I can read you what it says is here: practicality, leadership, organization, power and projection. Frequency moves from self-deluded tyranny. I'll own that. I've been there. To leadership through listening. I'm learning that. Responds best to simple and practical solutions. So, and then this wound of guilt. For me, what line 5 feels like as the shadow that is these root tendrils underneath all aspects of my life is that I have this incredible need. It's almost a knee-jerk need to fix things, fix people, fix situations, fix emotions. It's it's the shadow part, okay? Trying to fix things. Now, granted, having the ability to fix problems like, your car if it breaks down, or, to fix a rip in your pants. I mean, that's a whole other level of fixing. I'm really good at that too, but I'm talking more on the relationship level, on the, just the inner work level, and so that's that underlying push, which is part of the shadow of this guilt. We as line 5 take on so much responsibility for everything going right, and have a vision that it should be this way. So, and I have the responsibility. You feel this cloak of responsibility. I have this responsibility to make everything into this vision of what I see here. And so naturally that fix it energy comes in. I've got to, okay, so it's clearly not going in that direction. Oh dear, I'm going to have to fix something here. Right? So I'm going to have to manipulate a conversation over here in order to fix this. Or if it's a work situation, oh, I see it going down that road down there. I'm going to have to definitely write a bunch of fix-it emails. You really should be doing blah, blah, blah. And you should be doing blah, 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 depending on where you are in the hierarchy. Or, don't you think so-and-so should be doing more? All these fix-it things that are bubbling away as a almost like a festering wound, because none of those ways of fixing things are actually going to ever work. And if they do work, they have worked because of an unhealthy impulse, not a healthy impulse, not one that is engaged with the heart. So, if I have learned, as I've been doing the Gene Keys, to quiet that voice of fixing things and to do a lot more pausing and a lot more, investing in those gifts that I have in my chart. One thing that actually pushes me to try to fix people's feelings and to fix my own feelings is that I have Gene Key 22 in this core wound as well, which is also about fixing things, but is specifically about fixing emotional things. So I have a double whammy, so to speak, here. But let's just take the line 5 right now. So let's say this line 5 is a being. What if it went to my line 6 in my life's work and my evolution and said, I am really feeling the need to fix things. I really, 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 really need to fix things right now. My life, I just am feeling absolutely out of sync and everything's going wrong today, and I want to fix things. I want to fix it all right now. I don't want to feel these. I want to fix it all right now. What would line 6 say? Let's say we're teenagers, or no, let's say we're just having coffee. Line 5 comes in and says that. What would line 6 say? She'd take a drink of her coffee. Now this is line 6 in her gift. All right. Line 6 would come in and she would say, oh, I see what's happening here. Have you thought about maybe just taking a step back and really looking at the bigger picture here? Just see if you can see more of what's going on in this thing that you want to fix. I hear your frustration that things are not, that you are feeling something that you're not that you are uncomfortable with. What if you just actually let it be and then just saw how it might be something that's going on in the rest of your life that you need to look at? Maybe it's underneath. What if, and the conversation goes on. The line 6 is going to bring in a higher viewpoint, a viewpoint of a more objective viewpoint. Line 6, and I have line 6 here in my life's work and my evolution and my IQ. So it's definitely going to bring in an objective viewpoint from the mental state and maybe even help pull this emotional line 5, who doesn't like her feelings, into more of an objective mind saying, what's really going on here in your feelings? Why are you feeling angry and frustrated and heated and so on? Is there something else going on? What would happen if we looked at that, right? So that's what line 6 would bring in. So I have a line 2 in my radiance and my purpose. I also have a line 2 in my star pearl, but we're not going into the star pearl today. So my radiance and purpose, and line 2 has an ease of being, is passionate, passion for relationships, responds best to high frequency with no agenda. So we'll see what would happen. So here come 5, line 5, in her wanting to fix things problem place, comes to coffee with a line 2. And my line 2 here. And the line 2 is listening and listening and listening. And line 2 says, whew, you know what? It seems like you're really, really focused on just this fixing thing. Have you thought about just, putting aside whatever it is that you're going through and just going out and maybe going home and doing the dishes and dancing at the same time? Do something physical. Just start moving around. you know, moving to the music and just letting that happen. And, give a lot of space to all those emotions going on. I know all about emotions and how I can get really into denial and into not wanting to feel my feelings. But, a lot of times if I just get into my body and start moving and just, feeling the ease of being, a lot of times that'll just, solve all of that. It'll just not be an issue anymore. Have you thought about that? So that's line 2 in my radiance and purpose. Okay, but it's pretty physical because radiance is all about your physical health, right? And we are in the activation sequence, right? So then we move on to, I have a line 5 in my attraction sphere. So what would line 5 say to another line 5? Practicality is important, right? Responds best to simple and practical solutions. Actually, line 2 gave a pretty practical solution. Go move your body, So this line 5, they're at coffee, right? And they're talking. And this line 5 says, oh, God, I so get you. I so know what you're talking about. Oh, my God. I hate feeling my feelings, too. I really do. So what have we learned so far? We've learned that we have to feel our feelings because we can't heal it unless you feel it. That's practical, right? You can't heal it unless you feel it. Maybe just put that up there. Can't heal it unless you feel it. What would go wrong if you just decided to feel your feelings? Just try it, feel those feelings. Yeah. Yeah. And that fix it thing. See, I have synergy in this actual gene key, so as the gift. So this line 5 would say, I have learned that people don't need to be fixed. They just need love. And when you let go of fixing people and you allow them just a lot of love, including yourself, things actually fall into place without you even doing anything. You don't even need to fix it. You don't even need to fix it because it just falls into place. But you have to have patience for that. Let's see, what would be a good patience thing? Maybe put an elephant in front of you just to remember patience. Elephant is all about deep patience, and it'll remind you that if you relax and just give love to yourself and to those around you, that might help your fix-it problem, right? IQ is next. We already did IQ because I have a 6 there. EQ is next. I have a 4 here in the EQ. So the 4, what would the 4 say? So they're, okay, so now here comes, fix-it woman again. The core wound fix-it woman is having coffee with a line 4 me. And line 4 is saying, friendship, connection, right? Magnetic influence, love and community. So she's going to say something about love too, right? But basically, line 4, because I also have humanity in here in this gene key. So humanity is all about finding the divinity in being human. That we are divine here as humans, even with all of our mistakes and all of our feelings and all of our shames and all of our denials and all of our repression. We're still glorious, divine beings, right? So line 4 comes in here, and she's listening to all this line 5 and line 5 and line 5 going, fix it, fix it, fix it. And she might come in more with this earth mother feeling going, you seem super, super focused on trying to fix something here. What would happen if you just melted all of that? Just melted it away. Melted it away and then allowed in what really wants to come through. Just melt it. That's right. Just melt it. Bring in the love. And know that just by talking to me and to your other friends, you are already dissolving this enormous need to be responsible from a really corrupt place. And just know that, as as the last gene key said, or as the last line said, you don't need to fix things. People only need love. You only need to love here. So what does love say? What does love say? What does community say? What does, what would actually happen if, I hear you wanting to fix this relationship between your husband and his son. I hear you wanting to fix that because you're uncomfortable with all the feelings that are involved in this argument, let's say. I hear you wanting to fix all of that. And what would happen if instead of trying to fix, you actually just listened to what is going on and allowed it to be? Because everybody has a right as a divine human to live their own shadows, to live their own feelings, to express their own beings in the best way they know possible without anybody fixing them. What if that was something you could bring to this drive to fix, right? So that's line 4. In my SQ, I have a line 1. And line 1, what would line 1 say? First of all, we're in the SQ. So the line 1 in the SQ, we're talking about this childhood, divine child essence. All right. And I have 62 in here, so it's precision, it's the Hierophant. So we have this very sophisticated Hierophant who is revealing the sacred, but it's in my SQ, which means I just imagine this little me dressed in these long robes, finding the sacred amidst all of the beautiful mud pies she makes and all of the, brushing her pony and playing with the cats. She's just finding the sacred within all of this. And line 1 goes even deeper because line 1 is about inner essence, introspection, investigation, self-empowerment, So solid inner certainty. So what would line 1 say? So line 5, Fix It Girl, is having coffee with line 1, my line 1. Line 1 is listening. And she's really going to just reflect right back to her and say, you've forgotten yourself. You have forgotten yourself. You don't need fixing. There's nothing about you that needs fixing. You are beautiful just where you are. It's okay to feel feelings. It's okay to make mistakes. There is no such thing as a mistake. Everything you do is precision. All of your life is precision, my love. And you don't need to fix it. Yeah. So line 5 would hear from her own perfection and has the ability then to shed this need to fix all the time. And the core wound is actually guilt. I know you're not hearing any, I don't know if you're hearing any guilt within this. I have a hard time understanding the guilt side, but I have a deep understanding of the need for forgiveness, which is what line 1 just brought into me. This beautiful forgiveness for simply being human, And so whenever I think of the core wound of guilt, I just have to come in, where am I not forgiving myself? And then I can find where I'm being guilty, I can't fix everything. I can't even fix me. But all of these lines have come and they've told me that I don't need to fix anything. It's not truly my responsibility. That's the key word line here. What my true responsibility is that deep introspection and that deep inner knowing of who I am. That's my responsibility. And then to express that through that line 5 voice into the world. That's what it's all about. So, thank you. Thank you for listening to me on this very first solo video within a cauldron of crones. And I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad you have been present with me. And I hope something that I said has given you some kind of teaching. Yeah, line 6. I have so many line 6s in my pearl and in my chart. And line 6 is the teacher. So thank you.